Start with a chart I haven't done before. Fascinating. Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, who came to power during the French Revolutionary Wars at the end of the 18th century. Now, Napoleon Bonaparte famously crowned himself in front of the Pope the Emperor of France, Napoleon I, and crowned his Empress, Josephine. Going to have a look at that famous love affair, D9 chart. He deserted her because she couldn't have children. We'll get to that one. He was a brilliant military strategist, definitely, but he made two catastrophic mistakes. We see those in the D9 as well. Of course, what's interesting about Napoleon Bonaparte is that he was exiled, everybody, sent into isolation on an island to try to keep him out of trouble when he was defeated twice. And this is actually Saturn, pure Saturn. Isolation, exile, defeat is Saturn. So Napoleon's chart shows the dichotomy between glory and victory and defeat and isolation. Mars and Saturn, they're two sides of the same coin in everyone's chart. Of course, the first time he was exiled, the island of Elba, he escaped in 1815, came back to France, roused the army, they all fell at his feet. And within a few weeks, only a few weeks it was, he led them to a terrible, terrible defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. What a bloodbath of a battle that was to end all battles on European soil. That Waterloo. And that was in June 1815. After that, of course, he was exiled for the second time, as far away as they could possibly get him from trouble, to the island of St. Helena in the Pacific Ocean, where he died in 1821. Napoleon Bonaparte's charts then. Libra ascendant in the D1, not surprising at all. Adolf Hitler, same thing. Vladimir Putin, same thing. Warmonger, conqueror, people who want to extend boundaries. Why is it happening? Because Libra, the opposite sign, is Aries, a multricone of Mongol. Of course, we have to see Mars in the horoscope to see how much of this open conflict actually happens. But the tendency is, because 7th house is open warfare, it's a house of warfare, not just marriage. The condition of Mars will tell us everything. Here, Mars is in Leo, super strong fire sign with the Sun. Wow. Sun his own sign, Mars, super general, in the 11th house, conqueror, politician, successful, rise in status. Everything is seen there. He became, of course, Emperor of France. Of course, Jupiter rising, Digbala. Jupiter in ascendant gives charisma. His soldiers followed him to the death every time. He was hugely charismatic and had a fanatical following in the army. Let's look at Saturn. Saturn is in the 10th house of the D1 chart. He's going to perform a debt to society by big deeds, by doing something big in the world. But in Cancer shows that this is not going to be easy in terms of the success of it long term. It's a weakened position. Adolf Hitler also had Saturn 10th house Cancer, by the way. There we go. But in this case, Saturn is in a Paravatan with the moon in the 4th house of the country. He's going to do something big for his country with this exchange happening. 4th house, country, home, moon, fantastic placement there. He's going to do something big, something important. But will it last long? Probably not, because Saturn is in a weak placement and does not gain strength D9, as we shall see. Of course, Saturn moon gives a depression to the mind. He was a major depressive. You'd be surprised to hear. I had to check it up myself, everyone. Yes, even as a child, well, teenager, he went through major depressive episodes, talked about ending his life, and all the way through life, he would have these major episodes of melancholia and absolute despair. In addition, of course, Saturn is with Mercury, Buddha, the Lord of the 12th house of loss, exile, isolation, and Saturn aspects that house, showing the end result of his deeds. Let's check the D9. Does this Saturn get strength in the D9 to make up for this? Not at all. It's gone into an equally weak sign, Leo, far from home in Aquarius, so equally weak. And actually, this is sign of Saturn's enemy, the Sun. So I've spoken about Saturn fire sign issues, D9. Especially Leo gives strong ego problems. Ego can be the cause of downfall, Saturn in Leo. Now, the 9th house Saturn, D9, particularly gives quarrels with authority figures, difficulty, constraints, karmic problems coming back, and the desire to fight. Why? Because the 9th house is the natural house of Sagittarius, the actual battlefield. Plus, of course, Saturn being here is particularly definitely about fights and contention. Why? Because his full drishti goes onto the 6th house, 10th aspect of the enemy. Of course, the 9th house is religious authority and dogma and all sorts of gurus, teachers, etc., including the Pope. He had a huge karmic issue with the Pope and dealing with the Pope's power. Now, he remained a Catholic all of his life, but he still crowned himself. He actually crowned himself as Napoleon I in the presence of the Pope. It was all arranged, though, but he did that to symbolically show that he was not going to be kowtowing to papal power in France. So very interesting factor there, but definite karmic burden dealing with religious figures. Of course, Saturn D9, how we get security. 2 ways he gets security. Just check this out. First of all, from conflict with the enemies, and Guru is the lord of the whole chart. The 3rd aspect of Saturn, straight onto Mars, the lord of the 7th house in the D1, open warfare, but this time, just check it out. Mars is with K2. He makes mistakes, huge mistakes. And Mars is in debility now. Wow, that's a problem. So Napoleon Bonaparte gets the power and the glory. Sun, Mars, Leo, sign of the king. But that same Mars has come into debility with K2. Mistakes in battle, aspected by Saturn. Wow, really serious. Of course, he made 2 major mistakes. Peninsular War had definite mistakes made that cost him dear, but the biggest perhaps the attack on Russia, the catastrophic retreat from Moscow in that Russian winter, pretty horrific. You can't exactly call Waterloo a mistake, though. That was an absolute defeat because, of course, he had escaped from the island of Elba, come back, roused the army, and he had to fight the Allies to maintain power. There was no choice for that. Dashas briefly, he became emperor in Rahu Dasha. All of his great success came in Rahu. Rahu with this exalted sun in the 5th house, house of power. And of course, he met his wife in that Dasha. As I've explained, the lord of Venus is Rahu. Check that technique on the playlist. Of course, it all went chaotically wrong in Jupiter Dasha. After that, Jupiter, the lord of him, D9, in this Dustana 6th house, aspected by Saturn. Saturn's aspect is the difficulty, is the karma. For example, that catastrophic retreat from Moscow, huge defeat. Jupiter K2 Dasha, Saturn aspects Jupiter and he aspects K2. Mistakes in battle. But what about Josephine, you're saying? What about his relationship? Well, first of all, I'm sure you could all see Saturn is looking at Venus. This is not helpful at all. Saturn is opposing Venus. Who is Venus? Venus is the wife in a male chart. Saturn aspecting Venus shows some issues connecting to females and perhaps suffering for the wife herself because Saturn is sorrow. So she can have sorrow or he can have sorrow through the wife. Lord of first wife, Mercury here, has gone to a Dustana in Scorpio, showing separation, but in Scorpio, a deep attachment, no doubt. He divorced her because she could not have children with him, although she did have some children previously, but she couldn't conceive with him. So he married Marie Louise, who he said about her, his second wife, "I am marrying a womb." So second wife is Capricorn here. Don't forget, second house, second wife. Check the video, houses D9, the link below to understand. Saturn is the Lord, opposed Venus. Not very helpful. He marries her to have children. Venus is about childbirth. 5 away is children. Guru is there. So she actually gave him a son. However, everybody, Saturn aspects Venus, Saturn aspects Jupiter. That child did not live long, unfortunately. I think he died at about 13 years of age.